Welcome to the Church of Mabus radio show. It's Friday night. It's 7:09 p.m. Central. You listen to United Public Radio 107.7 FM New Orleans. And got Jay McNicholas here with us tonight. Got Christina Giordano having a little Halloween swindig. And Nicoline Albrecht. Nicoline Albrecht is with us tonight, and good to have you here. And I want to thank you, Nicoline, for standing in. We had a show tonight with Paul Wild on the Doors, and he said he had a scheduling conflict, which I'm not sure what that meant, but I'm trying to get him back on for a Doors show. So I'm glad that you answered, because it's a cool, weird show, because I like to make Halloween special, like all month long. So I was sad that the Door show, but this is cool too and weird. This reminds me of like Late Night with the Devil. Have you seen that movie? Tonight on Late Night with the Devil. That's a movie that's crazy, but
no, I haven't.
But it's got that guy that was in Suicide Squad, Dave Dashmain or something. About it's good. Look it up, Late Night with the Devil. But anyway, good to have you here. And I guess tell us what got you started on this journey of painting darker things like the demon portraits. What got you started?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. What got me started? Well, I was already into the occult stuff for a few years, and I figured, I have a background in art, art school, went to art school and stuff like that. But yeah, basically, I figured at some point I could paint them the way I personally see them, and not based on descriptions from books or other sources. With my own, what I see during my own workings with these beings. And started off by making things my own for myself, and basically, it sort of caught on, and now I'm making spirit portraits and demon portraits for people who are into these things and who want a personal portrait of the beings that they work with to be put on their altar, but also to use for their meditations, things like that. Some people carry them in their pockets, even like very small, tiny artworks, like credit card size, or some have them big on their wall, and that's kind of a short version, basically. But that's and as for the darker parts, I mean, I don't know. I guess I always had a leaning. I've always been leaning to darker things. So at some point, I mean, yeah, I had some things happening, and I decided to look up demons. Yeah. It's a very long story.
Well, I've had some experiences before with psychedelics where I saw some reptilian type beings that my first initial impression was they were fallen angels. That's what something told me. And I was like, oh shit. Like I got scared because I'm from Georgia, raised up in Christianity, and my dad was a preacher. So I'm tripping and I see these things, and that's what I'm like, oh my God, Faust, I'm seeing the devil on the crossroads. And one of them was very humanoid and weird, and almost like I would say it reminded me of Medusa, but I don't know if it was actual snakes. Their just hair was really weird. And another one was like a hydra. and they told me that they love me and to dance and sing and write. It's like these weird, creepy things, something saying that's the devil or fallen angel, but they're telling me they love me. So it was like a weird, it was definitely a hell of a trip. That's for sure. But the reason we
Yeah.
do the show is because we've had a lot of us here have had experiences ourselves, and I've had UFO stuff and seen different beings. But I guess I'm trying to understand, what was the first catalyst when you said, oh, this might be a demon, or is it a fallen angel the same thing as a demon, or is there a difference?
I can get back to like what I see as what demons are. I have a little bit of a different view of that than most people, but first, the thing is, I was actually an atheist. I was not brought up with Christianity or any religion. Kind of a new age a little bit. Like I believed in human souls. It sounds completely crazy now that I've grown out of that. But I only believed in a human soul for some reason for years, until my house was being renovated and I had to stay upstairs in the upstairs apartment for a while. And there were some things going on. This is a very old house, so there's lots of paranormal activity all around in general. So I was staying there upstairs, and we were already a bit on edge because there were already some weird things happening there. And I was sleeping on the couch in the living room, and I had this sort of out of body experience where I saw this creature, a humanoid being, very like hyper realistic. I thought he was actually physically there, and he was standing near the table and looking at me, and he was absolutely terrifying. I was so scared. He was probably about 2 meters tall, or maybe taller than that, almost reaching the ceiling. Like could barely stand properly inside that house. And he noticed that I got scared. The thing is, he looked human-like, but he had these large eyes, and he looked like a severe burn victim. He had lots of scars, kind of zombie-like almost. And then he sort of turned to the side, like he turned his body sideways. And I knew it was kind of to tell me with his body language that he's not here to attack me or anything, like not just standing to the side like that. And my neighbor's cat was also there. She was awake. She went to that spirit, to that being. She actually went there, and that's when I knew, okay, this is actually okay. And I woke up, and my neighbor, next morning, she told me, "Do you know what happened in the living room here? I had such a weird dream, and my cat was behaving weird, and she went there." Like, yeah, I saw your cat going towards that creature. Like, so that's fast forward a few years. I still didn't. I kept it in the back of my head that maybe this is a demon. And at some point, I wanted to figure out who he is, and that got me to asking around on different forums and stuff, and it got me in contact with Billy L. So that was basically the first demon I ever evoked, asking like if that was him, and that's how it started.
And what did he say to you? Like the only where I think I first heard that name Belial was from Edgar Casey, something about the sons of darkness and the sons of light, some war I don't remember, but Edgar Casey, one of like the sleeping prophet dude, where I first heard that name growing up.
My friends and I think we battled the demon Belial in one of our Dungeons and Dragons games. He popped out of a trapped piece of treasure we found. And my friend said, "Don't touch that," and then the guy touched it, and the demon popped out of Belial, and we beat the crap out of him. So
that's what happens. But what was his?
Absolutely.
What did he say? What's the communication?
Well, the thing with Belial is that he is actually a trickster spirit. So he tends to lie and manipulate a little. So he told me, and several other people told me, that this was actually what they call an underling of his, someone that was sent by him. To this day, I'm not 100% sure if it was someone sent by him or if it was really him. But either way, it was definitely connected to him. And I guess I just needed that sort of awakening. And as for Belial himself, there is, I'm not sure if it's mentioned in the Bible or something too, but if you're into things about Atlantis and stuff like that, he is heavily involved with that. He's heavily involved with Atlantis, as one of
that's Edgar Casey stuff. I know
he talks one of his names he mentioned.
Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry, my dog is interrupting. I'm trying to get in not to knock things over.
Our cat just did that, so sorry for the loud.
But yeah, the sons of Belial refers to a group of of rebels. They say in Atlantis as well, and I think it's also mentioned in the Bible somewhere. So I'm very sorry for all the background noise here. It's my dog is being.
It's okay. We have weird stuff here
today.
We just had a cat knock over a water bottle. So. But so at any point,
just so the listeners and the viewers don't think like what's going on there. But Belial, there's so much I could say about him. It's hard to keep it like in a short, understandable answer. So but so yes, it was definitely connected to him, and I can show you a portrait that I made of him.
Yeah, you can do that at any time, just whenever. Just let us know.
That's
just show it. Yeah,
I thought just as you can see here in the portrait as well, he has definitely had connections to the trust as well, and if you're interested in Atlantean things, he's definitely one to hook up with, as he's very closely related to all that. So yeah, when I found out that it was Belial that was trying to reach out, I got very I got a little worried first, because he has a very bad reputation, even in the occult community, being that he is a trickster. But I guess in the end, I've had my weird experiences with him as well. Definitely very scary experiences, but he's also a very good teacher. So that's it's definitely been worth it.
And what is their goal? Is that, or is it at any point you're like, I'm gonna, oh my God, my soul's at ransom? I mean, does that come up, or what do they want? What's the final outcome?
From like demons in particular, or
Yes.
do you mean like Belial or?
Yeah, Belial. Like, what are they? A teacher, like Coyote, and it's kind of like a, a shamanic kind of thing of teaching. Or...
Belial. Well, a lot of demons in general are actually old gods, ancient gods that. Same as with angels. That I think you asked some similar question about the nature of angels and demons earlier. So
yes.
The thing is that they're all of them are old gods that existed before Abrahamic religion, and they literally got demonized to make way for monotheism, for this one God. And what happened is they just got sort of split, and the good guys and the bad guys. But the thing is, none of that is true. They're all, some are nice. Some angels can be nice, and some angels can be assholes, and some demons are nice, and some demons are assholes. But that whole thing, like that whole war in heaven thing, that never happened. That's not. None of that is. That's just basically ways for the church and for other religious institutions to cause division, but also to make sure that you do not contact these beings that can actually help you, and just as much as an angel can. So they don't really have a particular agenda. They don't really have an agenda to like things like possession and things like that, taking over the world. It's not. They don't even need to do that. A lot of them are very helpful to people who reach out to them, though. I guess I mean they all of them are evolved beings, and yes, a lot of them are actually just teachers, and at the moment you overcome that duality, it sets you free. So yeah, for a large part, their agenda is the same as the agenda of other gods. Some of them are here to teach us, others are here to deal with energies, governing energies, things like that. Yeah. A lot of them are scapegoats that can help too.
A lot of these stories, like the stories like the war in heaven and the flood, like a lot of those are things in ancient cultures that Christianity possibly put a new coat of paint on. And, it was like Marduk and Tiamat and all that weird stuff. And like in the Necronomicon, the Simon and all that, like a lot of that stuff, it seems like, I don't know if the stuff really happened, but somewhere somebody was tripping and got the story up going, or maybe it really did happen. I don't know, and then it seems like Christianity likes to throw their own paint jobs on stuff, like in a lot of ways. But it's definitely, and the Sons of Belial is where I've heard, from Edgar Casey. I know there was some weird stuff in that Antichrist Superstar Marilyn Manson album about Belial and weird stuff inside of it and things like that. But
really?
I don't really. Yeah, if you look inside the
I
cover.
I didn't even know that was.
Yeah, there's some stuff in there. He did something with the Necronomicon and locked him up and tortured himself or something weird. But there's something in there about Belial. I remember it. Maybe in one of the weird pictures where he looks like an angel and all weird that they might say it real small or something in it. But it's in that CD cover. But he's crazy, so who knows what
I had no idea. Wow.
Yeah,
That's very interesting. Oh yeah. The thing is, Belial is actually he is like a god of the earth. So yeah, naturally he is very invested with how do you say, like the evolution of humanity and our growth. So yeah, that thing about there's this story about Belial leading this sort of what was it, like a revolution, or not really a revolution, but like a rebellion in Atlantis and things like that. I don't know. There probably were clashes always happen. I think like fights and back and forth, but that doesn't mean that that it doesn't get resolved, or that they're always going to be, that they're not going to be clashing forever. So maybe there was some sort of war in heaven, but it doesn't mean that.
And could it be a reflection
going on eternally or something?
Yeah, could it be a reflection of the Atlantis story, the whole war in heaven, like a spinoff of, maybe that was the origin story of it or something, it could be that.
It also sounds a little like the Greek
gods
maybe story.
Yeah, the Olympus and all.
Well, the Titans were the original gods, and then Zeus and the immortals, like Hera and all the Greek gods, rebelled against the Titans. Kronos was Zeus's father, and they killed their parents, and like the rest of them, then they shunned to Earth or somewhere in the depths of Earth, so they were imprisoned in Earth. It sounds very similar.
Yeah. The thing is, a lot of these, especially myths and stuff, are also very symbolic, and they don't literally mean what they say. So
true. Yeah. So some of them they've proven, like the city of Troy, they have found through mythological books, which I think is pretty amazing.
Yeah, I think the city of Troy existed.
There was
an actual.
I don't know if you heard about this. At one point, there's so many mythological creatures, demons among them, but there's a really cool example. So we haven't found any bones of, like, centaurs or unicorns or any cool mythological beings. No demon bones, no demon horns. But we've heard of cyclopses, one-eyed giants. Well, there's this cliff in the Grecian Isles somewhere that were not elephants, but the ones prior, the mastodons. So it's a mastodon graveyard, and the mastodon skulls are like encrusted in the cliffside as petrified rocks. But it looks like a skull with two big eyes and one big eye in the middle, and then like two big other holes for ears. But actually, it was one big hole for the trunk and then two other big holes for the eyes. But that's where they think they got the idea for the one-eyed giants, is by seeing these bones and trying to reconstruct them with their art and imagination and whatnot. I think that's kind of fascinating. So we know Cyclops is definitely fantasy, but we know why.
Yeah. Yeah. They thought they had a big eye in the middle. Yeah, exactly. So that's why when I work with spirits, I try to let go of all the previous stories and myths a little bit, because so much of that is just some of it is based on truth, but a lot of times it's kind of symbolic, or sometimes you will find different stories throughout different I mean, not different stories. I mean, similar stories throughout different cultures, and that's when you can kind of say like, okay, this might have actually happened, you know, but especially if it's like very far apart. So yeah, I actually have a portrait of Kronos right here. That's him.
Oh, cool. Now, what is your medium? What are you making these out of? Pencils, oil, acrylic.
This is yeah, it's mostly acrylic with some like pencil as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And the funny thing, what I found out about Kronos through my own is like they call it like unverified personal gnosis. So this is just my views on that. But what I found out through my work with Kronos is that actually he is sort of linked to black holes. So the whole thing about eating his own children, it's more like them traveling through that black hole. And the weird part is what's weird is also is that as I was working on that portrait, but also on other occasions when I did like major workings with him, there would always be some news popping up about a black hole activating and moving or growing, things like that. So it's definitely very interesting. But I think that could be one explanation of that myth of him eating his own children.
Yeah, there's quite a
I think
quite
the
a bit
other
of
is wrong or
it. I mean,
something.
there's cannibalism even still today in Catholic ceremony. I mean, they offer the Eucharist in the part of the Catholic Church that is when it's Jesus symbolically turns the bread into his body and the wine into his blood and makes his acolytes drink it in the book. So they do that in church, and it's like even at like the age of 6, when I was being forced into, I would go screaming and kicking to church every Sunday. My parents had to like physically push me into the car to get me to go to church every Sunday. I hated going, but anyway,
Oh.
it's symbolic cannibalism. You're eating this dead Jesus's body and drinking his blood. It's the weirdest thing, and I never understood it. I still don't to this day.
Yeah, I mean, Christianity is a death cult.
It's weird.
And I mean, if you look at the things that happened, what the God of the Bible did and asks for and stuff like that, it's definitely, he's not a very nice guy. I mean,
Well, I've read it several times, and the thing that I came, and then even at the age of 6, I came out of it reading it and going, there's two different dudes. One's the good God, one's the bad God. One wants to blow us up all the time. The other one's like, oh, here, we don't want you to die. We'll save this guy, we'll save this guy, and we'll save these kind of dudes, these animals. It's the weirdest thing. And then it wasn't until college when I found out about the Anunnaki, and I read their stories in the Enuma Elish, and I was shocked. They're exactly like the Bible. It's just the Bible has changed them a lot, but the core stories are the same. The only thing is that with the Sumerian traditions, there are 3. What's the flood guy? No, there are 3 Noahs, 3 different guys, but they're not named Noah. One's like Zeusudra, and there's like 2 other weird names. And I was shocked to see how close the original Sumerian, the first human written text on the planet, tells a story that's almost identical to the one in the Bible. Only the names have changed, and there aren't as many of them. You went from many gods to one.
Yeah. It's the same with, for instance, the story of Horus.
Yes, it's very similar
and Jesus
to
and
Christ.
Yeah, the Bible. it still happened like afterwards. I mean, if Christianity just took over a lot of
My
traditions.
keep hearing a weird noise, like a feedback.
Sorry?
I don't know what it is. Oh, I just kept hearing like a feedback noise. I don't know what it is. I have no idea, but I just keep hearing it. I don't know where it's coming from. I have no idea. It's probably Jay.
The cat is no
Could
longer
be my
scratching.
dog is snoring.
I just had to move ours out because he was. I was like, I'm going to move him out because it's getting bad. It's a great interview. He just sleeps too much, like 24/7. So he's not bored of your interview. He just sleeps a lot. I love it. I love this kind of stuff. Here's my biggest
Mine
thing.
is asleep. He's snoring.
I find it very exciting. In a horror movie, usually if someone was to come on like you're doing, at the end you would be possessed and we'd all die at the end. That's how Late Night with the Devil kind of happens. That movie that's really good that I told you about, Late Night with the Devil. It's about, you should look that movie up when you get a chance and try to find it and watch it for Halloween. It's really good. Like it's this 70s talk show host. It's on Shudder.
I'm sorry, the sound is.
It's on the movie I'm talking about.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Hold on. Can you hear me, Jay?
I can hear you.
Let me check.
It got a little jumbled up. Like
Here we go.
If sometimes the screen will slow down, but you'll still hear us.
But here, the movie Late Night with the Devil takes place in the 70s, and it's got this guy, Dave Dasham. I can't say his damn name, but he was in Suicide Squad, the polka dot guy from that newest Suicide Squad movie. But it's about this host.
David Dast Malchian.
Yes, but anyway, he's like a 70s.
I like him. He's cool.
It's like a creepy 70s talk show, and I forget what the F happens, but some possessed girl comes on and it gets crazy as hell. But it's really well made, and like in the 70s, like the commercials, like it's like you're watching a talk
He
show.
plays the Russian thief in Ant-Man. If you saw Ant-Man,
Yeah,
Malchian.
he's also doing these comics that are pretty interesting. That Kolchak, he's helping. You know, Kolchak, the Night Strangler.
I have the DVD set. Yes.
But listen, if you look up Kolchak Meets Monsters or Kolchak Monsters on Kickstarter, that dude Dave is helping to write this comic where Kolchak meets every like Frankenstein, Dracula, werewolf. And there's a whole like there's a whole Kickstarter comic Kolchak thing going on that I didn't know much about, but it's all about Kolchak comics situation. But anyway, my biggest thing is I understand people's dismay about the Bible and all that stuff. I understand that it's confusing. And my biggest experience that lets me know that there's some kind of advanced being that have Christ consciousness or God-likeness or a connection to the source was at one point here in Florida at Silver Lake. I had been listening to some scripture on this DVD online on a DVD, and something told me to go outside and look towards my house. I went outside. I was completely sober, which most of the time I'm not, but that particular time, no weed, no tobacco, no alcohol, completely sober. And I saw with my naked eyes, under no influence of anything, and I've seen stuff partying too, so I'm not knocking that by any means, but the stuff at that particular time, completely sober, I saw two people made of light leave my house as if they were in my home, came out the roof, and flew straight into the heavens. So there's some kind of thing with beings of light, call it Christ consciousness, nirvana, whatever the hell you want, Valhalla consciousness, whatever you want to call it. There's some kind of hierarchy with glowing, weird, bright things because I saw them. So, but anywho, that was one of my experiences.
No, great.
So there's definitely like a light side and a dark side, and you know, and then a lot of people say the dark side's God experiencing itself as the dark side. So that could be the trickster. You know? So there's a lot of ways to look at it. But what other portraits do you have? But yeah, if you want to show any more.
Speaking of light beings, I got one of Lucifer right here.
I was going to bring him
I
up.
think that's one of the most misunderstood beings, because he definitely is a light being. Like, he is the bringer of light. And yeah, basically, people are taught to fear him, but
Well,
he's
yeah, that's
absolutely
all because
not.
of the
He's
Christian church.
probably one of
If you research the name, by
exactly.
modern standards, it means not what did you say just a moment ago? About
Me?
He's
no.
the light bearer, bringer of light.
Yes.
No.
Also, no. They
But
also they the way I interpret it is bringer of enlightenment, or modern day interpretation of that word would be
yeah,
teacher.
it's actually not the modern day interpretation. It's actually the ancient interpretation, as
Yeah.
luz means light.
Yeah.
It's basically okay. It's a slightly modernized form of his Latin name, and it's
Mhm.
literally, well, almost literally Latin for bringer of light.
Yes.
And he just got sucked into this Bible story, and actually, the real Lucifer has little to nothing to do with Satan. They're
Yeah.
different,
I know.
separate
Yes.
entities,
Supposedly.
and
That's what I've always heard.
he's a Roman god, and yeah,
Yeah.
that
It's
is
funny how
he's
funny how
actually
a
one of
Roman
the
god
first.
falls into the Christian Bible, but it did. There's an Egyptian
Yeah,
holiday
but that's
there.
the thing
No.
with a lot of these. Sorry, sorry, you weren't talking. I think.
I'm sorry if you didn't hear me. There's a Egyptian holiday in the Christian Bible as well. Christmas. Well, it's not in the Bible. It's an Americanized thing, I think. But the fact that he was born in a manger in Christmas, that whole myth is the same as the Osiris myth.
Yeah, that here in the Netherlands we have our own. We kind of had our own version of Christmas, and that's it's a whole different kind of thing.
It's
But
different all over the world. In Russia, they don't even celebrate it until January the 8th.
yeah, yeah, but that's because they have a different calendar there, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, here we have Sinterklaas or Saint Nicholas. The thing is that it's celebrated around the 5th of December, and it has a completely different. It got Christianized later on, but it's actually at its core, it's an honoring of Wodan or Odin,
Mm-hmm.
and who later became like Santa Claus. But
Yep.
yeah, when Christians came, they just made him a saint or something, and yeah, that's our version of Christmas.
Yeah, it's, like I said, it's a different tradition. The Saint Nicholas looks different in every country. That sometimes it's celebrated on different days of the year. It's the strangest thing. You know, you have the Jewish tradition is the 8 days of Hanukkah, but then they have the 12. Is it the 12 days of Christmas or something like that? What do they call that? Right before Christmas, I forget what they call that. But I was always as a kid like, why don't we have gifts throughout those 12 days? Like they spread them out. One here, next day you get 2, next day you get 3. Nobody liked that logic at all.
Well, we actually do that on Sinterklaas as well, like a whole week or something. That it goes like that he's supposed to be in the country for like a week or something, and then you get people put their shoes under the chimney,
Mm-hmm.
or kids put their shoes under the chimney, and they get like little gifts every night, and then at the end there's this big bag of gifts. But we also do Christmas later on, so we get the festivities twice, but also twice the stress. So yeah, we have like two
That's almost as good as mine. You have 12
People
days
like
of
that.
gifting. Nobody likes that idea. I mean, this in this country, it's. I mean, this is how sick it is. Halloween hasn't even happened yet. It's still a couple weeks away. I went to the hardware stores. Here is where we get the Halloween. Most people get their Halloween decorations. Both hardware stores, the biggest ones in our country, Lowe's and Home Depot, there were no Halloween things up. It was all Christmas.
That sucks.
Already.
I hate that.
They have Christmas stuff up and out and lit up and like displays. So it's not even, we haven't even had Halloween yet.
Yeah, it sucks.
It's disgusting.
Well, fortunately, we kind of have that, like that's Sinterklaas as like a buffer zone, but I hate it when they have Christmas stuff up like before Sinterklaas has happened, because it's not even it's not really our culture to celebrate Christmas that elaborately, and I don't like that it's happening. I don't like to see that changing. You know,
this is really gross. I'll tell this story real quick, and then we let Jeffrey take over for a little bit.
Let me just say one thing. Next show, we're actually summoning the devil. On that show, it's going to be called "Song of the Dark Man, Father of Witches, Lord of the Crossroads, Dagra Mason," and that's what it's called. So, explains the Dark Man phenomenon through centuries-old folklore and mythology. Challenges the simplistic concept of the devil as evil. It's called Song of the Dark Man, Father of Witches, Lord of the Crossroads. Lord help me. Next Friday. Puritan me. Send in the monks. But it's going to be a good one.
So this is kind of gross. 20 some years ago, when I first moved back to Maryland from college, I got a job in a retail place, and I was working on the sales floor, but then they saw how good I helped, unload a truck and get stuff put away and put on the shelves. They're like, would you rather work in the warehouse? And I was like, yeah, maybe. Why? And it was a $3 raise. So it was $3 an hour more. So I was like, yeah, I took it. This was July. Very, very soon I became the third in command. I was a supervisor, third in command of the warehouse. So it was the manager, and then the receiving lead, and then me. If they weren't in the warehouse, I was in charge. So I just finished unloading a truck with like 2,000 pieces of freight on it. They weren't on pallets; it was all boxes. We had to unload by conveyor belt, and then and that took 6 hours. Right after that, the HR lady came up and said, "Hey, there's a truck out front with 1,200 pieces for Christmas. Where can we put it?" And I said, "I don't know. I just unloaded 2,000 pieces of stuff for today. I don't know where to put them yet. You'll have to talk to Daryl on the other side of the other warehouse." So they had to go to our specialty warehouse and dump off 1,200 pieces of Christmas stuff in July that we weren't going to start selling until November. It's a long time to hold product.
Yeah.
That's how gross the retail market can be. It really is a disgusting thing.
What? Oh, retail?
Yeah.
Oh, God, yeah. But I work in the warehouse.
But it was like food stuff, too.
It's fun.
But there was food?
Food? There was food, Jay?
My girlfriend dropped off my dinner, which is behind me. Yeah.
But food and retail, or no? It was just.
Oh no. I work in a warehouse where we sell. It's one of the bigger hardware stores here. I won't say which one. I just work in the distribution center. I fill and unload trucks.
And Nicoline, have you when you communicate with these beings, is it channeling, or does it ever come through dreams? And I know you had a pic of your eyes that seemed like they were under the influence of possibly one of your pictures.
Oh, I don't know. There's, like I said, there's a lot of stuff happening around me usually. But yes, what I do, how I make these portraits is what I usually do is I do an evocation. Basically, that's where I get into this meditative state, and that way for me, when I do that, I can see them, I can communicate with them. Sometimes I can hear them too, like physically hear them, um, and I can feel their touch. Like sometimes the spirits that I work with will come in to touch me, to tell them that they're here. So yes, a lot of the communication goes with that, goes through that, through meditation, but also if, especially if they want to be extra clear about something, or if it's too much to do in one sitting, a lot of things will come through dreams. I have very realistic, very vivid dreams that I usually remember very well. So that is, for me, that is a very clear way of communication. And then sometimes, if I'm not sure about something, I just like, for instance, how they want to be portrayed, like certain colors, like asking Lucifer about that gash in his hat, just as an example, and I would then ask him to show me a sign that I got it right. And then, for instance, with Lucifer, for instance, I once had it was a very, very interesting experience. It was one of my first experiences with him like that. I asked for a confirmation or on something that I understood it correctly, and he said, "Okay, as a confirmation, your friend." With my friend who I was going to meet the next day, your friend will wear a blue sweater or a blue blue sweater was, yeah, or a shirt, was a shirt. Anyway, a blue top, and he came to pick me up, had his coat on, and then he took off his vest, and he was wearing a blue shirt. Things like that. So that's one of those small, or another one with Azazel, for instance. He will, when I ask him for a confirmation, for instance, he will show me a ladybug, or I will have ladybugs suddenly on my bed, things like that. And other times, sometimes it's also the customers themselves. I'm not going to go into too many details on that because that's private for them. But I've had several customers come to me, like during the whole process, as I show them what I'm working on, and they're like, "What? I just saw that, or I just saw exactly this and that just happened to me, and it's in the painting now." So, yeah, I hope that answers the question.
Yes, it did. Thank you. And it's strange. I know there's some old story. I forget what civilization where some fish-like god came up from the ocean and gave them knowledge.
That's the Dogu.
Dogon or Dogon,
Dogon, yeah,
Don or something.
yeah, that's the one.
That's a pretty weird story that most people would be like, demon, fallen angel. What the hell is that?
Basically, it's a merman that comes out of the water, basically.
And then there's Dagon.
I thought it was in Brazil. Isn't that one of the
Dagon
civilizations
and
in South
Dogon are
America?
very similar. They're in Africa, and then there's the Dogu figurines from ancient Japanese culture, the Homon, where it's the same story. Fish-like, reptilian-like, amphibian-like, even creatures from the sea came up and taught them how to do, till the soil and make food and.
Pancake. Pancakes.
Yeah, I believe the Dogon have a connection to the Sirius star. What's the star system? I'm not sure.
Yes,
Yeah.
that is true. The Dogon tribe successfully predicted that there were 3 stars in the Sirius network, where at that time we only knew of 2.
Yeah.
And then 18 or 20 years later, after we discovered that tribe, then we found that 3rd star.
Yeah, exactly.
But they already knew.
Yeah.
A primitive tribe with no telescopes. How did they know?
And definitely,
They said there is this large sort of eye-like structure or thing that's in the Sahara. It's kind of close to where the Dogon tribe is, sort of kind of north of them. And it's still not sure. They're still not sure exactly what it is. So
Yeah.
who knows? Maybe there was a civilization an older civilization that came before us that lived there.
There's also a yellow glass
I mean,
found
if you
in the
think
desert
about
of
it, how
Sahara. I don't know if you're aware of this. There's a yellow
sorry?
glass. I forget what it's called, but it's in a lot of Egyptian mummies, pharaohs, like expensive rings, gold rings. They thought it was a really neat rock, but what actually it is it's a radioactive rock. It's been around long enough that the radioactivity is no longer harms us that much, but maybe in Egyptian times it was a little higher, and it's probably maybe what will kill them. Then there's a rock that another glass that we made at the Trinity site. That's a nuclear glass when they tested the first nuclear bomb in World War II. That is called trinitite, and they're shockingly similar as far as the way they look. If you know anything about geology, it's very very neat. And I did take a little bit in college, but how did ancient people know about a thing that we know called radioactive glass, and how did they get it? Very strange.
Yeah, yeah. Who knows? But maybe I believe there's a very large gap in history from when Homo sapiens evolved, modern humanity and stuff, and
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
the
that
first
gap falls
signs
between
of
the gap you're talking about
civilization.
falls between Homo habilis and Homo erectus, who were our direct ancestors before we became Homo sapiens sapiens. A million-year gap. There's no
Yeah, but
transitional apes between that.
but also when we became Homo sapiens and the first signs of civilization are like ages and ages apart. I don't remember how many years, but it's huge, and it's definitely it could definitely be long enough years for several civilizations to have reached their peak and be completely destroyed again. So maybe those things like modern what we think are modern inventions, maybe it's something that humanity had already invented back then. I mean, who knows? Maybe they did have a nuclear meltdown like ages ago, and that destroyed them and left these artifacts. Or yeah, it's very possible. It's like a
There are 2
literal
places in
black
Turkey.
hole in history.
There's 2 places in Turkey that exhibit higher than normal radioactive background radiation, the kind of which is not of a natural radioactive explosion, and there are several plaques on the walls in Dendera in Egypt. One of the plaques has it looks like a helicopter. One of them looks like, I swear to God, I hope you've seen Star Wars. If you've seen Star Wars, there's one plaque or one symbol that looks exactly like Luke Skywalker's land speeder. I kid you not. There's also a modern submarine on this plaque, and there's 2 helicopters. One looks like an attack helicopter, like one of our Black Hawks, and the other looks like a freight helicopter, like a Sikorsky. If you know of the Russian brand Sikorsky, they have a really neat, unique feature to them where they can pick up large, like container trucks and move them onto a ship and offload them onto a truck and whatnot.
Yeah, I did some of those. Yeah.
Yeah, and in the same place they have it's a lily, they say, but it has it looks like an ancient light bulb with a filament that's made out of a snake and looks like a cord going into a wall, like it's plugged in like a lamp. So you tell me what it is. To me, it looks like a lamp.
Hey, Jay, check your settings and make sure your microphone's on the right one. You know how we have that sometimes. I keep hearing a weird feedback. I don't know where it's coming from, but
let me see.
But one thing we wanted to ask about Christina and me is a long time ago, we were sitting on a porch here, and I said the name Lilith, and an owl went off, and right after, a second after it was really creepy. But when it comes to their animal connections, has Lilith come up ever? And what are some of the things with the animal spirits? Because that seems like that's part of them as well on some level, right?
Yeah, I personally don't work with Lilith, but I have heard that she is connected to owls, so that could have been her indeed. Yeah, I mean, spirits can definitely send. They can probably influence, especially since animals are more open towards certain things. I guess they can influence animals to come to you or do certain things and stuff like that. So yeah, for me, it's usually Odin that does that. For some reason, when I work with Odin, I will see a lot of ravens and crows and stuff like that, but also for some reason rats. I will have like when I'm outside with my dog, I will have rats following me or just sitting there, even in a place where there usually aren't that many rats. They will just come out, and that's usually when I know Odin is trying to get my attention or trying to confirm something to me. Yeah.
Are any of these or any of the creatures you've worked with have any connection to Norse on some level, like giants or titans, or any creatures that kind of in Norse? Are there any that resemble some of these demons that you work with? Is there any similarities or connections to Norse anyway with any of it?
Yes, there is. But that's not. It's going to be okay. The way I see things is that, like I said, that a lot of the demons are ancient gods. And some of the gods that we know, or actually a lot of the gods that we know, are kind of they have different names and different aspects throughout different cultures. So, for instance, the god Loki, I have got to know him as King Paimon first, who is his demonic name. I don't know. I'm trying to explain this in a way that doesn't make me look crazy or something, but yes, they're definitely. Where was I getting at?
We're all crazy here.
Yeah, don't feel bad. I've seen Bigfoot, and he's seen
my dog is
flying around. So
Christina at some point saw a winged entity, and her dog fell off a bridge or something like that, and she had a nosebleed. We've had some weird things, but one of my weirdest ones was I was on ecstasy with a friend, and there was these little bitty cloaked beings like Jawas, but skinny. And there was 3 of them in a black box. And My friend saw it. I saw it. We both agreed that we saw it. And then a black cat named Manson, after Marilyn Manson. This was a long time ago. It jumped on them and they vanished. That was one of my weirdest ones. And I don't know what those were, but I wondered what they were. Maybe like fairy or dwarf. I don't know what the hell they were, but I couldn't see their faces. But that's one of my weirdest ones for sure. Little cloak beings.
Yeah, I had some weird experience a few weeks ago where I was taking a nap, and I don't even do any drugs or anything like that. I was taking a nap and I woke up and I saw this. I was sort of half awake, and I could have sworn I saw a huge spider like this size dangling from my ceiling, and as I was trying to get up, it just went up and it disappeared, and it was so realistic. And I actually went looking like with a flashlight where it went, and that's when I realized that spider wasn't physically there. It was just some sort of astral being there. I still have no idea what that was.
Well, I would look up like
So,
spider
yeah.
medicine with Native American kind of stuff. Like look that up. Maybe there might be something with that, because I know a lot of those like Native American medicine cards have spider medicine, grandmother spider, and stuff like that.
Yeah, it could be like a sign of protection. Spiders' webs, and yeah, there's also like this thing within what you would call the demonic divine. If you work within those kind of currents, so to say, is that either a spider bite or a snake bite can be an initiation and like an awakening into something. So yeah, spiders and snakes and stuff are actually seen as beings wisdom of sorts. So it could have been something like that. I don't know. Yeah.
Is there any more portraits you can show us? Do you have any more to show? Any more portraits?
Yeah, I thought. Oh, we were actually talking about Loki first for a moment there. So I got this one. It's actually not finished yet. It's still work in progress. But this is Loki as the fire giant, kind of with the melting skin, and I got to add a lot of some fire stuff here too. But the fire giant and the trickster and
That's cool.
jester of the gods at the same time.
That's trippy for sure. That's cool. Do you have the one I was showing on Facebook? The one who was at the one on Facebook that I showed?
Yeah, I got. Let me get. This is Azazel.
Cool.
Okay.
It's it's a little shiny, like it's actually almost pitch black. But yes, this is Azazel. The way I saw him like this in one of those sleep, sort of half awake moments again. Like he was my sleep paralysis demon, or kind of sitting. He was sitting on my chest, and I saw that big grin of his. And if I were like younger and less experienced, I would have been terrified. But it was actually really. It felt like almost like a gift. Like he was showing me that big smile with. He had like. His teeth were lighting up and his eyes were lit up too. So I decided, make a painting of that. His horns were all black.
What's that one's name?
It was a pretty Azazel.
Yeah, A-Z-A-Z-A-E-L.
I've heard of that name.
Azazel.
It's almost like
he was actually
What's the guy in the red teleporter in the X-Men movie was Hazazel, another form of it.
Yeah, that's how how its name is pronounced in English, Azazel.
Yep.
But I know
It's
him
like
as Azazel.
seen it in Diablo, that game
And
Diablo.
he appears
he's
in a
in
lot of
Diablo.
those things.
Yeah, he's in Diablo.
He's also the demon in that movie with Denzel Washington. I
Fallen?
forgot the name of the movie.
Is it Fallen?
That's about him.
Kind of looks like the Insidious thing. That's what Christina. There's something in Insidious. I've seen it that looks kind of similar a little bit. I haven't seen those in a while though. But there's different things out there. It's creepy. Does it creep you out?
Those actually. Sorry.
Does it creep you out when you paint this stuff at all? Like, does it just like creepy? Have a creepy moment, like an EBGBs?
Not anymore. Well, usually not the painting itself, but sometimes the way they when they suddenly show their true faces, like, oh my God. Loki, for instance, I had to make a portrait of Loki for a customer, and I had a very hard time seeing him. It was so, and suddenly, he just does something that made me see exactly how he wanted to be portrayed, and it was so. Sorry, I was about to say the F word. It was so messed up. It was absolutely. I don't know. Sometimes, that was one of those moments where I got scared, and and then what you do, you take a deep breath, and then you realize, okay, this is just how they look. And you go back, but that was definitely one of those moments. He showed himself with a face made of lava, like melting and coiling. There were things, but yeah, I've definitely had Billy O as well. I mean, he's put me through the most horrible nightmare, and I think I guess that's kind of what makes demons, like they can be absolutely terrifying, but at the same time it can be good for you to learn to deal with that, to get over those fears too. I mean, yeah. Yeah, I've had some almost horror movie like experiences, but in the end it all turns out helpful in some way, if that makes any sense.
Seems like they're teachers. It seems like, in shamanic encounters they can be rough encounters, like with coyote and things like that, but you learn from them, laugh from them. Seems like they're teachers in a lot of ways. There's actually this dude that I didn't think about this before. His name was Timothy Wiley, and he's passed away. And me and Christina talked about some of this, some connections to that. But he wrote these books. He was in the church of some weird cult, and he got out of it, like The Process or something weird like that. But he passed away. He was on that show Hamilton's Pharmacopoeia, and they were like doing PCP or angel dust or something, like they were high on angel dust or something like that. But he passed away. But he wrote these books as Timothy W.Y. LLIE, and the books were from Bear and Company or Inner Traditions, and he talked about fallen angels and weird stuff like the Atlantis stuff and things like that. And a real cool dude, kind of like a British hippie dude. And he, but one of the things that he said is that some of the fallen angels had found redemption with God and were working in service to humanity now. And when I read that, I was like, I never really heard anybody say stuff like that, But the fact that he embraced that these angels could like let's say if they did do there was a fall from heaven and all that crap, like Paradise Lost, whatever, and that they found a path of redemption from that, and he got into it pretty weird, and this dude was doing some hard crazy drugs and on a lot of TV shows and stuff, but it's interesting to think about it like that, you know. There's some that are obviously
Yeah,
go ahead. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, you were saying.
Oh, I was just saying that it's interesting to think about it, and but about them being on a path of redemption. But you can go ahead if you had something you want to say.
Yeah, I think some of them are on a path of redemption, but I don't think. I think that sort of applies mostly to younger or lower beings, like maybe like human souls. Things like that. I don't think a lot of like the big name demons that we know that you all hear of. The thing is that they are not beneath the being that is God. That they're not. He's not. He doesn't have power over them. And yeah, the way, especially if you see the God of the Bible as just another spirit, like the rest of them, just wanted power for himself, or just wanted human attention for himself. But he's not necessarily stronger or in charge of angels and or like other spirits as such. But where was I going? There are, but I don't think demons help humans for their own redemption as much, but more like to help elevate this place, sort of.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I have to kind of address my dog here. He's being very annoying. Sorry.
My dog was playing soccer in the hallway, making banging noise on the door to my office here.
My dog, he is chewing on his own feet, pretty much, just because I'm not giving him attention. So, sorry for that. I'm back. Almost. I think it's getting a little bit late here, so I don't want to like cut things off too. I don't know how long you usually run the show.
It's usually 1 hour and 55 minutes, but if you need less time, that's fine. I mean, we can start closing out a little bit.
That's okay. That's okay.
Okay.
No, that's fine.
You ever heard of Fred Anderson?
I don't think I could say it.
You ever heard of Fred Anderson?
Sorry?
I said, have you ever heard of a guy named Fred Anderson? He's in, was it Norway? He wrote a book on UFOs that's really good. That's it's kind of like Swedish UFO encounters. But Fred Anderson, he's been on before.
Okay.
He's at the 2 a.m. time for sure. Have you ever had anything come up? Christina's had some situations where she was going through some stuff and was in a graveyard and things like that, and had Anubis show up. And she's also seen a dog man type creature outside before. And we've seen a weird, strange one on the side of the road that was very peculiar and different. But the dog man archetype, has that ever come up with anything like that?
Yeah, I actually made a portrait of Anubis for one of my customers. Sadly, I don't have it here, of course, because it's not in my house. But yeah, I personally haven't done any extensive further work with him. I should probably get back to that. But
there's a lot of that dog man encounter.
Yeah, I made a portrait.
It's
Sorry?
I was just say we do a lot. We've done a lot of Bigfoot shows, and we've also done Dogman shows like Paranormal Encounters. There's a lot of the Dogman stuff going on where people are claiming. I've never seen one, but I've had some people on that are serious that they saw one. And of course, well, I've seen something that
You
was
know,
on the road that was maybe shape shifting.
Yeah. Mine might.
We've seen
right.
saw one on the side of the road that was kind of weird, but it was like we were going down the highway and we saw something in the street lights, and it almost reminded me of like a Native American illustration of a person wearing a wolf like costume, like a berserker or shapeshifter. I don't know what it was, but we've had a lot of Dogman situations where we've talked about it on the show, and that's kind of a big thing happening in the paranormal where people are like having real cases of seeing these things and getting crazy evidence and photographs on trail cams. And like there's a guy that I was talking about recently, I'm trying to get on, that lives in a place where he's actually getting crazy trail cams of these things.
Hmm. You know what's interesting is, as you mentioned, the snowman, I think. The demon portrait I showed you before, like of Azazel, I often see him as Bigfoot. I often see him as exactly like some sort of Bigfoot, but only he would be black, like entirely black. And since according to the Bible, well, not really the Bible. Have you heard of the Book of Enoch? Maybe.
Yes.
And in the Book of Enoch, Azazel and the rest of the Watchers, they mated with humans and created the Nephilim. The Nephilim being these sort of giants. So I've always been wondering if maybe Azazel has some sort of connection to Bigfoot.
Huh.
Or
we've speculated about that too.
His offspring or something.
Yeah, that we've had the same theory go across several shows on Bigfoot here. There's also, have you read the Enuma Elish?
Read the what?
No, I haven't.
The Enuma Elish, the Sumerian creation myth.
Okay.
Like I said, it's almost identical to the Bible. If you read it, you'd be like shocked.
Yeah.
One of the stories in that is they're not called the Watchers, they're called the Igigi, and they rebel against the Sumerian over gods, if you will. They say we'll no longer do the work for you because we're dying too quickly. So they decide to make man in their own likeness and whatnot. It's just like you hear in the Bible. It's phenomenally word for word. And I was shocked when I read this. I mean, 40 years ago, and when I was in college. But then I was thinking, this really shocked me also. That it's the first language, and they write this tremendous story of these, beings from outer space, basically, or from nowhere, that can do these magical things and just create beings lickety split. And I was thinking to myself, why do you invent the first written language and then present Star Wars to your people who can't even read it? What's the logic? No one but the kings and his scribes could read it, and it's like Star Wars. It's an advanced science fiction story, and it's the first story ever written. I can't believe it. I'm like, who gets these ideas? How do you? So that there has to be some truth to some of that. And it can't be about fictional beings flying through the sky and going, there's the sun, there's the planets, there's water, life. It didn't happen that quick.
No. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's like I said earlier, some of these stories have, even though they're from very different cultures, there are some similarities, and that's why I think there are some truth there. It's also I think, for instance, in Arabic culture you have the jinn, and understood it
The
correctly, the
Efreet
jinn were
is the name
actually
of the
here
race.
before.
The jinn and genie and the Efreeti, they're made of smoke.
Yeah.
How about Hecate?
Exactly.
Hecate comes up a lot. Has Hecate ever come up any? Hecate?
Hecate, yeah.
Does that one ever come up, Nicoline?
Hecate.
Hecate? Yeah. That's an interesting one.
Hecate.
Yeah, she was a,
Not to me personally, but I do know a lot of people that do work with her. I did a few times get a visit from what could be a female death being. A female. I'm still not sure who exactly she was. It could have been Hela, the Norse goddess, but could have been Hecate as
this
well.
is her realm,
maybe.
according to myth. Not Zeus. Odin appointed her goddess of those who did not die of noble or in noble battle or die nobly in battle. So people died of natural causes. People died of heart attacks or poison, or bit by a snake, fell off a cliff, that kind of thing. And
Yeah.
her realm was Midgard, and Midgard in their tradition is Earth. So this, everyone asks, I'm going to hell. I'm like, guess what? You're there. You're in hell's realm right now. That's where we are. It's, according
Yeah.
to the Norse mythos, we're standing on hell. This is hell's land. Hell is land.
Yeah, maybe in a way it's like reincarnation, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Like that you're going back to hell.
I believe in reincarnation.
That's actually very interesting. I never thought of it that way, that this could be hell. But what's funny is that here comes another long story. But I once had a dream or a nightmare where Loki is in those myths. Loki is the father of hell.
Yeah.
Among other beings, and I
Yeah,
saw him
those stories
punishing
have
her.
they have such strange lineages. Sorry to interrupt, but all of them have such intertwined, weird, sons or fathers and brothers and sisters all at the same time. How can you be your own grandfather? And these are stories that are written for people that most of
Well,
them don't read them.
That's where the symbolism comes in.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Go on.
I mean, Loki turned himself into a horse, right, to seduce someone. I think to seduce.
Mhm.
Yeah, Loki turned
That sounds
himself
exactly
into a
like
horse
Zeus in Greek.
Yeah, to make Odin's horse, sort of. But yeah, so I saw Loki punishing hell, but through a trick, and it was so nasty. It was really, really vile. What he did was I saw hell and another woman, kind of like as children, almost like, or young, like teenagers, and he lured them in, like, oh, you're going to a fun place. You want to come? Yes, they're coming, and he tricked them into coming to Earth, coming here. And one of them would be dead and stuck to being dead, and the other was alive, forever searching. And it was so heartbreaking. Like, imagine seeing that in a very realistic dream, like a very realistic story. But it makes sense in a way. Maybe both were, in some symbolic way, both were hell, and she was sent here, and that this is her place. So maybe, like, with what you just said. So maybe, yeah, maybe this is hell's realm, and maybe this is kind of how that happened or something.
Has I was just gonna say, has Bell ever came up, or That god, like it's supposed to be an owl, Bel. It's different, spelled different than Belial.
Bel?
Baal.
Yeah, Bel.
Canaanite.
Baal.
Yeah.
He actually did very early on for me. When I just started out, I did see him come up, but I've never actually haven't had the time actually to work with him yet. But what's an interesting thing about a lot of there are several spirits that are connected to Baal or the name Baal, Bel, and that is where is it? You have Belial, and there is Belphegor, Beelzebub,
Yes.
and basically almost all those names that have Bel or Baal or Baal in them, it actually means Lord. Baal is actually I think it was a Canaanite word for Lord. So that's basically where that comes from.
Well, there's also the Balrog, the fire and smoke monster in Lord of the Rings that nearly kills. Well, actually does kill Gandalf because he comes back as a different person in white this time, and that's spelled Baelrog. It's got Baal right in the name, Balrog, and it nearly killed the party, but only took the wizard with him.
Yeah, yeah, maybe, yeah.
Have you ever got on any?
I don't know.
Have you ever?
The poor thing is that the author is passed. His children, one of his grandchildren actually is also named J.R.R. Tolkien, and I think he's in charge of the estate. He may actually have the answer if that's where his great grandfather got the inspiration for. But I would say, hell yeah, he got a hold of some kind of demon lore somewhere and liked the name Baal, I guess, and put it in his book.
Maybe.
I think so.
Yeah, or maybe he knew the meaning of the word Baal, and
there's definitely a connection. Maybe it's one of his notebooks. There's a book called the Silmarillion that's written after the Lord of the Rings, which is a lot of his notes and short stories, preluding the Lord of the Rings. Maybe the answers are in there. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm too dyslexic. I try
or
to
maybe
read
he just wanted to.
and it hurts, but I like the idea of reading it. Just being dyslexic, it's so hard. Audio books though really do rock.
Have you had any Ouija board experiences with any of these entities?
That, Jeffrey, but thank you.
Any Ouija boards?
No, actually not. That's something I've never done. Okay, believe me, I've never done a Ouija board. But
guess what? They work. They work.
I can imagine. I do have
things like you'll like this story. There's a game company here called Hasbro. They make a lot of our childhood board games and toys. And one of the board games they made was called Ouija. And it's a Ouija board. And the original ones were made like the real ones. It was a wooden board, and then you had a wooden spindle that had a brass nail in it. And later versions was made out of plastic. They didn't work as good. But the original one that we had, that thing worked.
Yeah, it's creepy.
Yeah, I've had other.
I think my parents destroyed it because they found out how creepy it was.
I actually had an experience with King Paimon using a pendulum, where I swear I saw, I felt him grabbing that pendulum, like he was pulling it, and he was like messing with me. The thing is, because King Paimon is actually one of those demons, spirits that are very close to Earth still, and he has a very strong access to He can do very, very physical things like poltergeist stuff, and he can move and grab things. And I saw this air moving almost, and I saw this hand, and I saw him grabbing that pendulum and pulling it.
Have you ever
I
seen
don't
any
know. It
pendulum
looks like
studies?
it's really fun. Sorry?
Have you ever seen any pendulum studies, like on motion film or a high speed film?
No,
Yeah,
I haven't.
not really.
There are some that I saw way back in the early 70s. They're on 16 millimeter film, and they would take this. I don't know what the photographer's name was, but he would take a pendulum and he made the tip glow. Whether he took a Bic lighter to it until it glowed hotter, I don't know what, but he would just hold it, and then I guess they would channel whatever they were channeling, and whoever many people were in the room would watch this thing just start moving from no movement, just start moving. And then when they would play back the film, it would like write out sentences or small like answers to questions that people were asking in the room, calling out people's names. You know, someone in my family died just recently, James. Oh my God! People, you know, but you couldn't see it until they rolled the film back. It's kind of like, I don't know if you've heard of EVP, electronic voice phenomenon, but ghost hunters use now. They answer it, they ask a question out loud, and then they try to record a sound, and there's usually a sound there. It's a phenomenon like that, but I don't know if you can find those maybe on the internet. I haven't really think to look about that until just now, but that was I was like, I don't know, 10, 11 years old going, wow, how did they make that thing do that from nothing? I mean, literally, they're holding a string with a weight at the end. To me, that's like fishing in the pond near my house, just waiting for something to bite it. And then it starts moving on its own and writing things in the sky. That's really cool.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I tried to get
phenomenon. I believe that they're using with the pendulum, that the guys that do divining rods. You ever seen the guys like they have two bent metal rods and they walk through a field, and then the rods will go and make an X, and they stop right there and they find water. And like almost every time they find water, and they're within the first, second, or third tries. It's uncanny.
Yeah, there's like it's magnetic fields and stuff. I had this weird experience like that once with I was outside. I was hiking with a friend, and it was at a place where they have recently discovered a lot of ancient grave mounds or burial mounds, and we didn't even know at the time. There were only a few of them were discovered, but it turns out later on there were like millions or like lots and lots of them, and so we got lost in those woods, and we had a compass on our phone, very simple, and it started spinning around. That was one of the craziest things I've seen, and my friend was actually freaking out, and I had to be like trying to keep my cool. Like, okay, we will get back to the normal world if we keep walking, you know? And that's eventually it stopped spinning, but that was definitely something, and we still don't know what. We think it was probably the magnetic fields or something like that.
Definitely. There was a point where me and Christina were at a house, and her grandmother passed away, and something hit our bed at night, a couple of nights in a row. And it was, I got up with a flashlight I thought something fell off a shelf, but nothing did. Something hit our bed. And then a couple of times she saw a gray type alien standing over me at night. Like it looked kind of like one of those grays, but taller and more insect like. And the ghosts with some of these beings, do you find that you've had ghosts hanging around and things, or had any other type of experiences that are attributed to them?
Like ghosts, yeah, definitely.
Like, do they attract ghosts?
Or maybe they repel them. Kind of. I think maybe especially like demons and ghosts of maybe people with a Christian upbringing. I'm not sure if when you work with demons, those ghosts kind of go away or something. For me, it's yeah.
Well,
I live in this old house, and there's a lot that has been happening here, especially in World War in the Second World War. I hate that word in English, hard to pronounce for me. Um, so before I started working with spirits, I had a lot of like
Attachments.
paranormal activity that I would account to human ghosts, but it kind of stopped. So I'm not sure. I guess or maybe they see those spirits as some sort of authority or something, or they suddenly calm down or behave, or issues get resolved more quickly. I don't know. Yeah, but definitely, of course, if you work with these spirits, they are paranormal entities themselves, so you get a lot of that. I had at one point there was crazy stuff happening with my how do you call those things? Like an electric water cooker. Do you have those in America too?
Yeah.
Like for boiling, making
Like
tea
a
and stuff.
pressure cooker.
no, electric tea kettle. I think is
No,
what she's talking
no, not a pressure cooker. Just the normal to heat, just heating water.
Yeah.
That's all it
Like a
does.
tea kettle. Like a tea kettle. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I had an electric tea kettle, and it would switch on in the middle of the night, just suddenly, or I would have my devices switching on, and yeah, all of that sort of. I think, or maybe I don't notice it anymore. That could be too, but I feel like it's sort of calmed down a little ever since I started actually working
Yeah,
with these beings.
a lot of experiencers with that what we would call poltergeist type activity. I would think would after a time the shock factor in you goes away, and that's really why the entity was
Yeah.
doing it in the first place was to make you go or why did
Yeah,
that?
or they're doing it.
Once that was like you walk in the kitchen, you go that and it wasn't bothering you anymore. They stop because the shock factor is gone. They're getting
Yeah,
no
or they stop because it's yeah, but also because they got their message across. Sometimes they're just trying to get your attention in whichever way they can. So,
well, there
especially
are
if you
some
keep in mind
what
that
I would call
some of them is very
repetitive. Over here, there are lots of stories of them where that whatever the possession of the house is, whether it's a poltergeist or a soul entity, whatever you want to call it, it seems to be a repetitive theme. Like it's always like at the same time of night, footsteps going up or down the stairs, or somebody making a weird howling noise going through a certain hallway. but it always repeats at that same time. It's like a snippet recording of their life at some point when they're either really happy or really scared or whatever the recording is of, and that's the ghosts. That's what's left of that soul here on the earth.
I don't know.
Yeah.
We have, yeah. We had one show where these ladies were claiming that they were like marrying these entities and like having sex with them and stuff. I forget the name of it. Who was that lady? Like it was
Well,
Stephanie.
Wasn't it Stephanie?
It was Stephanie Quick and this lady that wrote the book, and it was like it reminded me of those weird stories where like women marry train walls or at a train station or something, like or marry a pirate ghost.
there are two
Like
demons.
it was like a
known as
real book
incubi
though. It was
and
like a
incubi.
real book where they were dead serious that they were like having like relationships with ghosts and stuff. Like
Haven't you ever heard of incubi and succubi, Jeff?
yeah. But this was a
Those-
whole weird
those
show about it. I
Those are
can't
spirits
remember it.
that have sex with men and women in their sleep and,
Yeah.
and procreate with them.
Marry a train.
Well, yeah.
But
Well,
so does your relationships with these beings ever get that weird, like where they're trying to like enslave you for marriage or anything? Or sometimes when you think about these demons, you think of that movie.
It's not.
Well, there was a movie where like the demon was carrying around spirits with it. I forget what was the one. I don't remember the name of that one. It was where they had the tree and I don't Insidious. Yeah, that was it. No, it wasn't Insidious. It was something else. I'd have to look it up. But it was really weird where the demon like carried spirit victims with it wherever it went. But crazy one like that. But go
Sorry,
ahead.
I'm hearing the audio gets mixed up a lot.
It's because we're so far away.
I think that you're. Yeah, I'm kind of hearing you both at the same time, so I don't know what either of you is saying.
Oh, sorry.
I don't know. I think it's just because of we're far away. Like I keep hearing a weird feedback, which I don't know what that is, but I think it's just because of distance mostly. But is there anything come up weird with these entities and like relationship stuff?
Yeah, no. I don't, the thing is, like about these women you were talking about earlier, it's possible. I mean, it could be. At the same time, I'm also very. When people make these claims, a lot of times it could be a way like to get attention and get a status and things like that.
Mhm.
Because in reality, when with these kind of things, it's not something you want to talk about too openly. But it's definitely possible. I mean, if you can communicate with a spirit, if you can see them, hear them, feel them, then I suppose other things are possible too. But
Well, we got about 4 minutes. So first off, I just wanted to say thank you. It's been a great interview, and I thank you for filling in. And it was a perfect Halloween show. And is there anything you'd like to plug, or like your Facebook, or to tell people how to see your art, or anything you'd like to plug, like any links or anything?
Yeah, website maybe.
yeah, sure. Well, if anyone is interested in getting my artwork or anything else like that, I have my Facebook. It's just Nicoline Albrecht. It's simple as that. And I have my YouTube channel, Flowing Fire. I have not been very active on it as of late, but I do have some videos with different insights and do some live artwork sometimes. So
What's that channel name
yes,
again?
Flowing Fire.
Okay.
There's that's kind of where I've been some more in-depth things about demons and other spirits. It's always a little hard to get all the info and put it in in one video. So if anyone is more interested in getting more information about these things, then they can have a look on there.
Well, we appreciate it.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you so much, Nicoline. Everybody, you're listening to United Public Radio 107.7 FM New Orleans. Just real quick with the schedule that's coming up. Next week is Dagra Mason about the Lord of the Crossroads, Song of the Dark Man. Then November 1st, Mark Camp. That's an energy magic show. November 8th, Ellen Everett Hopman. That's a Celtic tradition. November 15th, Ricardo Delgado, Dracula. He did a lot of comics on Dracula and books on Dracula, tarot on Dracula. So lots of Dracula and Vlad the Impaler. November 22nd, Christina Giordano. That's Betty Page. She's going to be here. We're going to be asking some Betty Page questions. And then November 29th, Ronald Murphy. He's from Small Town Monsters. So that's going to be a good one. I need to get Jay that PDF. It's like Phantom Lights and stuff like that. And now I'm working on December. But thanks, everybody, for listening. Thanks, Jay. Thanks, Christina. Thanks, Nicoline. I've had a long couple of weeks, so I've been tired. So when we do good shows that carry and when I'm tired, I appreciate it. 2 hurricanes went by us, so those suck. Luckily, they barely missed us, but still scared the shit out of us. but and then
hurricanes are up. I've been through a lot of big ones.
Yeah, but I went through Michael, but the last 2, they were too close for comfort. That's for sure.
It was a
Especially
hurricane
when you're watching them.
Ancient aliens. So.
Especially when you're watching them on the TV on the map and they're coming right at you, and then suddenly they change and they're not. So it's like it puts you through a friggin' roller coaster. But we appreciate it, everybody. Thanks for listening. Thanks, everybody. Have a good weekend. Good night, everybody.